Have you ever stopped to think whether the freedom you value so much is truly yours? Whether the control the state exerts over your life runs far deeper than you realize? The promise of security in exchange for certain freedoms is an ancient pact, but do you actually know all the clauses of that agreement? And more importantly, what has been hidden about this fundamental contract that shapes every aspect of your existence? Today, on Logos and Law, we're going to open that pact. We'll examine what two of the greatest political philosophers in history really said about freedom, control, and power, and what happens when their ideas fall into the hands of those who govern.
The discussion about the role of the state has deep roots, and two figures dominate this debate with an intensity that still echoes today in every law passed, every public policy implemented, every decision the government makes about your life. John Locke believed that you are born with rights, not rights granted by the state, not rights the government gives you out of generosity, natural, inalienable rights that exist before any government and that no government should have the power to take away. Life, liberty, property. For Locke, the social contract is simple. You agree to live under a government because that government exists to protect what is already yours by nature. And if it fails, if it begins to threaten rather than protect, the people have not only the right, but the duty to resist.
Thomas Hobbes looked at the same human being and saw something entirely different. For him, without government, without imposed order, the natural state of man would be one of permanent war, everyone against everyone. Human life, in his exact words, would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. The solution he proposed was radical, an absolute sovereign, the Leviathan, with enough power to impose order and guarantee survival, even if it cost a significant portion of individual freedom. For Hobbes, control was not the problem, it was the solution. It was the price of civilization. And here's where things get interesting and a bit uncomfortable. These two visions didn't stay on the pages of books. They left universities and entered parliaments, courts, constitutions, security policies, surveillance laws, economic regulations. Every time a government expands its power in the name of security, it is invoking Hobbes, consciously or not. Every time a citizen claims their rights against state interference, they are invoking Locke. The debate between the two never ended. It just changed its name.
And the pattern that emerges from this tension is always the same: the constant friction between the human desire for autonomy and the real need for order. This isn't about choosing between two abstract extremes. It's about understanding how these philosophies have been interpreted, distorted, and applied throughout history to justify increasing levels of state intervention, often without people realizing what is being justified. Every new surveillance law passed in the name of national security has Hobbes behind it. Every cut to civil liberties justified by an emergency has Hobbes behind it. And every time you accept it without questioning, you are signing a clause in a contract you probably never read. What Locke and Hobbes hid about your control wasn't a deliberate conspiracy. It was something more subtle and therefore more dangerous: the malleability of their ideas. The ability these philosophies have to be bent, stretched, and reinterpreted to justify almost anything, both the expansion of state power and the limitation of individual freedoms, depending on who is doing the interpreting and for what purpose.
The forgotten pact is this: under the banner of security or freedom, the state holds immense power to define the limits of your existence, to decide how far you can go, what you can say, what you can own, how you can organize. And this power is not exercised with a clear warning that we are choosing more Hobbes or more Locke. It is exercised gradually, incrementally, through measures that individually seem reasonable, but collectively redraw the boundaries of your autonomy without you noticing. With every new law passed, with every new policy implemented, we are witnessing the materialization of one of these visions. Control, or the absence of it,
is a direct reflection of which philosophy is prevailing at that moment. And this shapes who we are, what we can do, and how we live, whether we are aware of it or not. The question is not whether you prefer Locke or Hobbes in the abstract. The question is whether you are recognizing, in real time, when one of these visions is being applied to your life. Because freedom that is not consciously defended is silently surrendered.
Given all this, I want to hear what you think. Which side do you believe is on the rise today? Are we moving toward a more Hobbesian world where control expands in the name of order and security? Or is there still room for the Lockean vision, where individual rights are the boundary the state cannot cross? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This is exactly the kind of debate Logos and Law exists to have, because understanding power is the first step to not being controlled by it without realizing. This is Logos and Law. See you in the next one.